This portion of the CU podcast is brought to you by True Classic Tees. The holidays are here, and that means one thing. It's time to break out your favorite jeans, t-shirts, and sweaters from True Classic. True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for the men in your life. Everything they make is crafted with premium fabrics to help you look and feel great anytime, anywhere. And right now, for a limited time this November, they're giving our listeners a special Black Friday deal all month long. Up to 60% off site-wide at trueclassictees.com/CU podcast.
Let's talk about the t-shirts for a second. I've said it before. They're amazing. True Classic completely re-engineered how t-shirts fit. They're tighter around the arms, chest, and shoulder, but have a looser fit in the torso. The fabric is ultra soft and makes for a comfortable base layer on chilly days.
They also offer their comfort jeans, and they're my new go-to. They've got that classic look, but mold perfectly to my body with a perfect four-way stretch for maximum comfort. When it comes to sweatshirts, their hoodies and crews will become your go-to for casual Fridays, game days, and trips to the gym. They have nice zip-up hoodies that you can wear every single day. And if you're looking for a more formal look, they've got you covered there too. They've just launched 5 different styles of button-up shirts, a new sweater that feels soft and comfortable, and fleece jackets to warm up during the cold weather.
Seriously, whatever you choose, you can't go wrong with True Classic. All their clothing, from t-shirts, jeans, button-ups, is designed to be versatile and work with your lifestyle, so you can look and feel your best all damn day. In fact, True Classic is so committed to their products that they even have a 100% perfect fit guarantee and easy returns.
Men, this is the perfect gift for you, but also a gift for her. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with our exclusive link at trueclassictees.com/CU podcast and save up to 60% off site-wide during their November holiday sale. End the year with holiday cheer. Thanks to True Classic. Ian.
Yeah.
Carl Jobst, who's heavily covered the WADA scandal and sealed graded game market, how it's been propped up with alleged fraudulent things and tomfoolery and chicanery, I could say.
Chicanery, that's about right.
He put out an update. Since he hasn't really done a video on this in about a year, since that Mad Dog Gaming Moby lookalike guy who attacked both me and him, if you remember. That was really the last time that he put out a video talking about this stuff. So he wanted to do an update video the way we have from time to time. There's actually a few games that appeared in his video that we've talked about a few months ago in the summer. Remember we talked about it, I think late summer as well. So he talks about the graded game market. Prices are down 50 to 90% in 2 years. We've talked about that. We found a lot of games that were down 70, 80%. And that was without even deep searching. That was just looking at pick a popular game, click sold listings on Heritage Auctions, and see all the prices scroll up. Which I'll get into. That you can't do that anymore, which I'll get into later.
The fact that they've eliminated that is telling.
The fact that they eliminated the ability for you to look at all the Super Mario Bros. 3 sold listings and see them all lined up. Anyway, he said this was an interesting editorial. Speculators add nothing of value to society. I chuckled. I just think that's funny. And they really don't. And this is something interesting as trying to use wealth to create an artificial arbitrage system. He said, use their wealth as a weapon to steal money from others. And that was an interesting thought. We never really sort of hammered the nail that hard about what happens with all these collector markets. But what you really do is, yes, you get the upper echelon of society, those that with money to burn try to make themselves richer by getting into these markets and fucking with it and manipulating them.
Well, that's always been the case. I mean, that's a common thing is that once you're rich, it's easy to get richer because you have all the money to take these risks with, and one pops off, then you get more money, but you're not missing the money that you lost.
Sure.
The reality of it is the dentist or whatever. Well, I don't know about him. Anyways, there are plenty of people who got into this who are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, and they are just going to shrug it off and move on to the next thing.
Sure. But they aren't the ones that created this bubble. They're the ones that got trapped in it. Some of the people that had money got trapped in it. And the other ones are the ones that some people got richer or rich when they discovered they could, sell a bunch of old Atari games for, $3,000 a pop that are worthless. So the point is, though, is that in order to coordinate this effort, it's people with money have to coordinate this effort. We saw that. We saw the Pawn Star stuff. We saw, the people behind Heritage Auctions partnering with Wata Games. We saw that. So Carl went through about a dozen examples, which we'll go through real quick here. Some I'll stop on more than others. The first was a Madden Sega Genesis from 1990. I love you, Carl, but you were incorrect slightly. You said it was the first Madden game. It was the first Madden console game. The first one was on at the Apple II. If you watch the video game years, you'll see that. But anyway, which was 88, I believe.
88.
So Madden Sega Genesis, this is a cardboard first printing, $480,000. They said it was from the offices of John Madden. Carl noted they did a video holding it up saying, this is the first one that's come up for sale like this.
I kind of remember that one going up because I remember the offices thing.
Yes. And this was interesting about it. And there's nothing special. There's nothing it's not signed by Madden. There's no, I don't think they gave you a certificate of authenticity that it came from Madden's office, I don't think. But either way, it's just the same regular copy you could have bought when it first came out. Well, what I confirmed, though, Ian, was that this was the first copy they ever auctioned off. They made sure that the first one they ever auctioned off was the one that came from Madden's offices.
Yeah.
So they suckered in.
I recall that too.
They suckered in some asshole who didn't know better to be like, whoa, my God, it must be hard to find. They did a fucking video talking about this being important, and it's from the office of Madden. And that's the only way it got to close to $500,000. Because the next one that came up a year later, Carl told us, dropped to $21,000. A 96% drop. And you can't tell me that's because, this one didn't come from Madden's offices. That's not why. So that was bad. Next one was a Tomb Raider PS1. And I put my note here, so dumb because they're plastic cases. And yeah, it's like you're not really protecting much, but all right. 144,000.
Well, you got to protect the seal. I mean, again, this has nothing to do with the actual game. It has to do with protecting the seal. You're protecting the plastic.
Sure. That's protecting something that's already protected. It's like layers of protection. 144,000 for a 9.4A. A better condition one, a 9.4A++, means the cellophane was better, went for not even 5,000, 9.4%, a 97% drop. We should have probably looked into these PlayStation ones a lot more, because we always said once you get to the late 90s, these games are a lot more plentiful in sealed format. Once you get to
I was just looking at that one and thinking, that one is particularly dumb. It's not like they're all over the place, but the notion of someone stumbling upon a box of sealed Tomb Raiders, Black Label, is not, it's not out of the realm of possibility in any way, shape, or form.
Or it's bought for someone and never played. It's found.
It happens.
It absolutely happens. We saw with the bunch of it was like a sealed Metroid or something that happened a couple years ago. There was a news item. Oh, they found it, they bought it, and never played the damn thing.
I always think it's so weird, but it definitely happens. Vonnie was telling me the other day that she still has a sealed copy of Jurassic Park on VHS because both her and her brother got a copy for Christmas, and only one was open.
What is it?
Sealed. And it's right. You can go return stuff, but how often do people actually it's weird it's weird that there are people who don't return things and how often that will happen.
Oh, it's a hassle. You got to stand in line,
especially if it's a gift. If it was a gift from someone, you got to get a hold of them and find out where they got it from, and etc.
The next one is Resident Evil PlayStation Long Box, which I do have one, not sealed, but I have one. $264,000, $250,000. You can buy a house in a large chunk of the U.S. with that, a decent house. The same exact copy went for $38,400. Carl suggested that since it was the same image used, it wasn't a new image, that it never left their offices potentially.
Mm.
And then they reported the next ones we'll go through. All the ones I have bolded here were potentially the same seller, because the same October 2021 auction, he reported several of these games and being sold again, same exact copy in November 2023. Zelda 2, 9.8, $102,000. 2 years later, the same copy, $14,400. They lost about $90,000 on that. They lost $230,000 about on the other one. So now we're up to they lost about Pat math, like $320,000. Russian Attack 9.4. I can't believe we lived in a world where a Russian Attack went for $43,000, but it did. The same copy then went for $7,800. Still way too much for Russian Attack, and I love Russian Attack.
Good game.
So that's $34,000. That was an NES Punk video Ian never saw as well. An early one from 2009.
No, I did see that, actually. I saw more of your early ones.
Well, that's weird. The next was another long box, a Twisted Metal long box, $87,000. The same one sold for $17,000. Now we're at a loss about $400,000 between just these few games. And a Final Fantasy VII 9.8, $18,000. Lost about $12,000, $6,600. So we're talking about just these games that Carl identified from probably this one person lost about $430,000.
Yeez.
In a year. Excuse me, 2 years. That's not a good investment. So my thought I put down here was, how do we know these games were ever paid for? And that's something I come back to a lot in all this bubble, is that it only takes a certain percentage of these to be not paid for or shield built up by a couple of people that never plan on paying for it in order to explode a market on some of these games. The long box games, we've seen a couple here. PlayStation 1 games, Zelda 2 that you know is not rare at all, that you're going to make you and your buddies who then start to sell these to other idiots for tens of thousands of dollars. That's all it takes. Because remember, we talked about this before and confirmed by folks that if these aren't paid for, you'll never find out.
Sure.
And maybe this is just 2 years later, they sell them. I'm not saying this happened, but either someone lost a ton of money, hundreds of thousands, or they're never paid for. The next one we commented on, Ian, you want to talk about Tecmo Bowl?
So Tecmo Bowl went from 144K at 9.6 A plus.
No, from 9.4.
I'm sorry, went from a 9.4 A plus at 144K to a 9.6 A plus at 4.9K. We actually brought this one up.
Yep.
We already brought this one up, so that's not new. But yeah, 4.9K, and that's just an insane $140,000 eating it. I mean, that's nuts.
At least because you had a worse condition copy.
Sure.
It could be more. It's probably more than that. And again, this is people guessing at anything. Tecmo Bowl, it was popular when it came out. Yeah, it's not popular now. There's no legacy anymore to this. You know, like it does.
I mean, on the cusp of a brave new world of financial opportunities, people will find excuses for anything to think that anything will be popular. Zelda 2. Well, I mean, it's Zelda, so it's going to be huge, but it's not the original Zelda. It's not everyone's favorite game, and it was super common. Tecmo Bowl, yeah, people love it, but no one needs to have the original Tecmo Bowl on their shelf. It's not something that anyone would ever collect.
Sure. Next one is a Wii game that he brought up. This is obviously pure, unbridled greed and speculation.
We talked about this one too. I feel like we definitely talked about this one.
Poke Park.
We also talked about the Sonic.
Oh, we did the Sonic. Well, you're getting ahead of ourselves, Ian. So this was a Wii game that I know nothing about. You know about the Pokemon stuff. I don't. I'm too old. I'm a boomer. A Wii game, 9.8 A plus, about 23,000 down to $600. It couldn't even crack $1,000. Holy shit!
That's pretty intense.
That's you just ate that one bad. Here comes the Sonic one, which is one of my favorite ones. Sonic 9.6 A, $312,000, which wasn't the most expensive one, by the way. There was a B plus that went for I think $360. Remember, $360. 312,000, 38,400. A 9.4A also sold for $420 on Golden auctions. And then fast forward a couple years, 28,000.8, 9.4, which is still a lot of money. But we're talking both of these individuals lost over $300,000 about. Like we're talking this is like insane. And just for going back to like sealed games and protecting, and this is just something I did silly. I randomly got 3 Genesis games off my shelf. I got Captain America and the Avengers off my shelf. Captain America. I got Muhammad Ali heavyweight boxing, which is a strange choice because he was way retired by then, but whatever. And then Fatal Labyrinth.
But it's just one of those names. I mean, that's known.
And then Fatal Labyrinth, one of the early Black Grid games. And just because, like, obviously, you talk about grading stuff, because you are grading the boxes as well. That gets lost in the whole shuffle. That this is kind of a point of this is that you're grading conditions, and then if it happens to be sealed, like it is not easy to like do good damage to a Genesis case. Like I'm looking at these cases and I'm like, these are all in pretty damn good shape. Obviously the hang tab can be ripped off, but if not, like these are hard plastic that are also protected by a plastic sleeve that goes around it anyway to protect the insert. So Genesis games do a damn good job on their own being protected. That's just an aside that I thought about. It's like if you grade
the Genesis games are just about the strongest cases.
They're tanks.
I remember us having these complaints when we first talked about game collecting, is that if you're just looking at it from a protection angle, they're in the Humvees of game cases.
Yes. These are hard plastic cases. Like you look at the edge, the plastic insert cover is frayed a little bit. Like there's not real, like you have to go out of your way to damage a Genesis game, or probably a lot of these CD games. You can like you can scratch a TurboGrafx game like the Hue card case. Like it's going to take some effort. Again, another reason why a lot of this is so fucking dumb, and it's also stupid. Like, I own some Genesis games sealed in Master System. I have like a handful. The seals are never perfect anyway because they always fuck up around the hang tape part. They always get weird and cracked and stuff. And anyway, that's all. We got a few more. We talked about this one, a Mario Kart 64 9.6 A+++, 144,000 down to 36,000. These were all the people were whining and copium. Remember on Instagram, they're like, they auctioned it too soon. Another one, remember?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, what do you want to wait 5 years? There's tons of these out there, not tons, but you know what I'm saying. Same thing with the Smash Brother. It went for the same price, which is weird, 144,000. The same copy, 15,600. A Legend of Zelda 9.6 A+. 2 copies at different times went for the same price. Again, sketchy, 156,000 down to 14,400. And then our favorite, the biggest drop, not percentage-wise, but terms of monetary value, is still the king, which set this all off. The Super Mario 64 9.8. It was a 1.5 million down to 800,000 a few months later in fall 2021 at Golden Auctions. And the same Golden Auctions we talked about. Carl didn't mention it because he wanted to stick to all the same technical grades. There was a VGA 95 gold, which is VGA's highest grade, went for only 250,000 that fall. So already that game dropped $1.25 million in a few months, technically. It's ridiculous.
Yikes.
So getting back to the point before that Ian first brought up, now when I search for sold listings, I used to, like Ian, when I edit the podcast, we want to see how much Super Mario 64 has dropped. Well, search for Super Mario 64 or search for Super Mario Kart, click by highest prices or by date. You can see like them all with the prices sold. Heritage Auctions doesn't allow you to do that anymore. You have to click a button to go to the page to see the price. They don't want you to be an informed buyer, it looks like. To me, at least. That's my opinion. They want you to be as uninformed as humanly possible when looking up the history of these games. That's always a great sign, right? I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, like obfuscating the info, especially when it used to be there, is a big tell. It'd be one thing if like the site opened and that just wasn't like a thing they had, and you're like, oh, that's dumb. But to have it and then take that away, yeah, you're trying to hide something.
Meanwhile, the population reports on WADA, have they updated since June still? Let's see. Because whenever we talked about this last, they weren't updated since June.
I have a feeling they probably haven't been. But
Nintendo 64, June. I'll just do one more. I'll do NES. I'll do the OG one here. Nintendo Entertainment System. Yes, June. Almost half a year, fellas. Let's get those updated soon. Are we at the bottom, Ian? Should we buy the dip? I've seen a couple of YouTubers maybe comment about that like talking about this stuff and saying this is good.
We should not buy the dip. We should not buy the dip. I don't think. Well, I don't think.
Even if you like wanted just to collect these things, not to speculate, do you think we've hit the rock bottom, or could these go lower?
No, these can go lower. They can always go lower.
That's
absolutely.
It's called the dead cat bounce in stocks. Means when things hit bottom, everyone thinks, well, it's going to go back up, that we have to buy now. So then you'll see a spike, and then it dies again.
Right.
Like, I don't even think we're at that yet, but we'll get to the point where people will think where it's at the lowest possible. More money will come in, fresh money comes back in because they're speculating probably to fuel it to go back up. Then it'll go back up a little bit and then it'll die again and get even worse. I mean, it happens with stocks and everything. It's just how human nature is. You think it's at the bottom, throw some money at it because now it's time to make money.
I just think we'll see less sales coming up. I mean, people who need the
Ooh.
money they have invested in this will try to offload it, but I think we're just going to see less sales. People are going to hold on to it because every sale that goes out there that gets lower and lower is, another, sign of the market dying, and they don't want to put the proof out.
Well, I'm getting the mailers. They're really trying to diversify what they're selling, like Heritage Auctions. Like they're really trying to diversify, like more consoles I've seen, like original art, which is cool. Like like the art from Bionic Commando. That's actually like interesting because it's like one of a kind art piece.
Yeah.
More like Nintendo Powers. I think Howard Phillips is auctioning off a bunch of his copies of Nintendo Power. It's interesting. He doesn't have the first Fun Club newsletter, which I don't. He's of that in his collection. Yeah, I think they're doing VidPro game cards. They're auctioning up at Heritage Auctions. That's desperate. That is desperate. Once you're auctioning up VidPro game cards, the things they have at Toys R Us where you flip up and see the information on the back of the box before you take it. Wow. That's, we're getting into desperate times then for stuff. I'm not saying there's gonna be nothing left to ever auction, but they're on Heritage Auctions, and I love these, is a complete in-box zipper Bishu green NES controller. And like that's what's on Heritage Auction. Are you serious? I'm shocked.
Yeah,
It's a new condition apparently. That's still shocking that's on Heritage Auctions. Hell, I might bid on that because I love the zipper different colors. They have a pink one, they have a yellow one, they have a blue one on that. Anyway, so there you have it, Ian. That's our Heritage Auctions update. Don't buy the dip unless you actually want to own these things and hold on to them.
Or it's for chips or vegetables or crudité or something.